Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and are having a flare-free day. In today's video, I wanted to talk about a commonly asked question in the endometriosis journey, and that is on how to find an endometriosis specialist. If you see on social media or you see your friends or family being referred to an endometriosis specialist, you're like, this is wonderful, I'm so proud of them, but how did they get to that stage to get that doctor? Or you might hear that somebody had excision surgery to help with their pain management of endometriosis, and it was performed by an endo specialist. And again, that is beautiful and wonderful, but how do we get to that endo specialist in our area? Well, this video, I'm going to provide some tips and tricks that are general that you can use in your journey to find that perfect endo specialist for you. And I'm also going to include some really detailed notes for the Canadian community here on how to find an endo specialist here in the country. So if that interests you, then please keep on watching. The first thing that we can do is to ask our primary caregiver, so a family doctor or physician that we go to on a weekly or monthly basis to check in, and ask them if they know an endometriosis specialist that you can be referred to. This is going to make more sense if that primary care provider acknowledges the pain and experience that you live with endometriosis. Some doctors, we have to go, 11, 12, 13 doctors to finally find someone that believes our pain and believes our story. So this level of asking a primary care provider for that endo specialist, I think it's a great way to start that conversation. But if they don't believe your pain or they gaslight you, then that primary care provider may not provide that endo specialist referral that we're looking for. And if that's the case, there's definitely a conversation needed to be had to find a primary care provider that believes you and believes your pain and believes your story. You are so deserving of a doctor that believes you, and I promise you that they are out there, and it just takes a little bit of digging to find that primary care provider that believes us and doesn't gaslight us. Throughout this video, I'll provide some other tips and tricks to find that endo specialist that are somewhat outside of the primary care provider. So if you do have a primary care provider that does believe you, you have a great relationship with them, they understand that you have endometriosis, oftentimes they'll probably take the first step to refer you to an endometriosis specialist in your region or area. But if they haven't yet, this is a great way to bring up a conversation on if they have any trusted individuals in their contact list that are endometriosis specialists in the area that you live in. So that's my number one tip, is to ask your primary care provider if they have a specified referral list for endometriosis specialists. The same thing, there's primary care providers such as family doctors, but there's also gynecologists. So gynecologists are experts in sexual and reproductive health, and they actually might have colleagues that specialize in minimally invasive gynecological surgery or endometriosis specialties. So gynecologists are an excellent resource as well to be referred to get that endo specialist on your side. Now, how I found my specific endometriosis specialist was online. This was through the Endometriosis Network of Canada, and on their website they have a specified tab at the top, and I'll post the website here, and I'll post the link down below to the tab, but it breaks down who the endometriosis specialists are in Canada, and they also break down who the endometriosis specialists are by region and province. The work is done already for us. It's not a comprehensive list. The list is always being updated, but there is at least some sort of resource online with the Endometriosis Network of Canada that does have those endo specialists outlined. They do outline that it's really important to conduct your own research on that endo specialist that they've listed on their website to really make sure that they suit you and your health needs, and to also make sure that they line up with your life goals. They do stress too, and this is also important to recognize, that a referral to an endometriosis specialist is required. So a family physician or a doctor will need to provide a referral to see an endometriosis specialist. You can request a referral from your family doctor, or you can request one from a physician at a walk-in clinic. Outside of the Canadian context, there are websites for different countries that outline endometriosis specialists online. So in the United States, there's the Endometriosis Foundation of America, EndoFound.org, and the Endometriosis Research Center, EndoResCenter.org. They have directories of doctors who have endometriosis specialities. Next way to find an endometriosis specialist in your area or country is to connect with local hospitals. I know in the Canadian context, some endometriosis specialists are connected to hospitals such as St. Michael's in Toronto, Sunnybrook Hospital, the Ottawa Hospital, and the list can go on. So checking with a local hospital, you can really get a directory of endometriosis specialists that work or are connected to that hospital. Seeking recommendations from support groups online or in person are also an amazing way to find an endo specialist in your area or country. This can be support groups online or in person, and this is an amazing way to connect with those that already have a connection to an endo specialist, just to know if there's an individual that is in your area that you can go back to your doctor and get a referral for. These communities online or in person often have a list of recommended endo specialists based on other endometriosis patients' experience with them. This is a unique one is insurance provider, talking with them. If you have health insurance, you can often obtain a list of specialists that are covered by your health insurance plan. This can sometimes narrow down your options if you do want that health coverage for endometriosis treatment, specifically when it comes to a surgical option in your country. Endometriosis organizations are also an amazing way to find an endometriosis specialist in your area or country. Again, I've mentioned the Endometriosis Network of Canada, but I know that there are so many other organizations around the world in Australia, France, the United Kingdom, have organizations that do amazing work for endometriosis patients. So they may have a recommended list of endo specialists in the area or country that you live in. So these are just starting points on trying to find an endo specialist in your area or country. I do recommend, again, bringing your journal of symptoms to your doctor or a walk-in physician just to outline the constant or recurring symptoms that you have related to endometriosis. And again, it is a full body systemic inflammatory disease. So your symptoms may range to the bowels, your pelvic area, your chest and diaphragm. The list can go on, and I have videos about endo symptoms, but make sure that you bring that list so that you make the appointment a little bit easier on yourself and for the doctor trying to provide that referral. Now, I do want to jump into a little bit of once you find an endo specialist or you are referred to somebody in your area or country, and it may not just stop there. I do want to stress that it is an amazing milestone to finally receive a referral to an endo specialist, but you also want to make sure that that person works with you and not against your desired life goals and the way that you want pain management options. So here are some questions that you want to ask yourself and the endo specialist that you're referred to finally to make sure that they're a good match for you. The first thing you want to kind of look at or ask yourself is, what is the attitude of this endo specialist towards my involvement in my own health? Are they willing to receive input from you regarding your pain management options? Again, it is your body, and surgical options for pain management of endo is a huge decision to make, and it's something to kind of sit with yourself and decide if you want to take that as a pain management option, because there are risks to surgery, but it is important to have that conversation with that specialist and kind of gauge your intuition about what their answer might be. Do they allow ample time for questions, and do you feel rushed when having a conversation with them? Are they able to explain surgical treatments and options in a clear, concise manner, or are they kind of rushing through with medical jargon and you're kind of confused about what they've just outlined? What is your doctor's belief around hormonal contraceptives or hormonal therapies? Can they discuss the reasons for prescribing that medication and the pros and cons to each medication, as well as the symptoms that come with them? Does your endometriosis specialist work well with other specialities when it comes to endometriosis and pain management? When it comes to endometriosis, sometimes there is a multidisciplinary approach, such as physiotherapy. They work well with other surgeons, doctors, gynecologists, therapists. These are some questions that you definitely want to ask yourself when talking with that endo specialist. Does the endometriosis specialist focus on ablation or excision surgery techniques? This is something to definitely discuss with your endometriosis specialist, as excision surgery is the gold standard of treatment for endometriosis as this video is being filmed. So this is something you definitely want to ask your endometriosis specialist about. Will your surgery be documented with images? Again, is so many other questions that can be asked to that endo specialist once you're referred. And again, if you've gone through surgery, feel free to comment down below some of the questions that you asked that endo specialist when you finally got that referral. I'm sure that it will help somebody in their journey feel more prepared when they finally get that milestone of getting an endo specialist on their team. So with that, I hope that this video has helped at least a little bit in the starting point of your journey to find an endo specialist. Down below, I would truly love to hear your journey on how you found your endo specialist, or what you're doing in your day-to-day life now to find that perfect person for you. Again, I am so incredibly proud of each and every one of you. I do want to stress too that whether you've gone the surgical option for endometriosis pain management option, or you have done another pathway for yourself and your health, know that your life with endometriosis matters and your story and experience matters, and not having surgery, it doesn't negate the fact that you have endo and you live with it on a day-to-day basis like everybody else that has either gone through surgery or not. I know that sometimes on social groups or social media, sometimes you hear this this tone that your endometriosis isn't quote unquote real or as valid if you haven't had surgery for it yet to confirm. And I just feel like that is such a negative tone to take, especially when you're living with chronic pain and you already feel alone and isolated. So I want to say, first and foremost, if you haven't had surgery for endometriosis, it's a huge decision to make for your body. And if it's something that you just don't want to go down to have that formal diagnosis or that suspected diagnosis for endo, know that I'm on your side and I believe your pain and your story and your life with endometriosis. I'm not a medical doctor, obviously. I'm just a friend here and a fellow patient that lives with the pain and discomfort that you have every day with endometriosis. So I just want to reiterate that your pain is still valid, even if you haven't had surgery for endometriosis. So with that, I cannot wait to talk to you on the next one, and I'd love to hear if any of these have helped you find an endo specialist in your area.